There are two questions that every client will ask in every single case. It's just a matter of when. First, what's my case worth? Always. And we'll talk about that in a different video, and that's a long one, by the way. But the other one we always hear is, how long does this take? And I'm gonna sound like a typical lawyer. It depends. There's a lot of things that control the time of a case, some external, some internal. For a pre-lawsuit settlement, meaning you settle your case without filing a lawsuit, the average time is just under 8 months, 7.6 months. We actually looked at this a couple days ago. We ran all the data for this year and last year. And so obviously there are cases that go a lot longer and cases that move a lot faster. The big deciding factor is how long it takes for you to get better. Because we normally will not take the next step of talking to an insurance company about what your case is worth and whether we're going to settle it until you're 100%. And the reason we want to do it that way is because we want to take all the guesswork out of whether you're going to make a full recovery and what you had to go through to get there. The very nature of personal injury is the longer you're hurt, the more medical care you needed, the more it cost, the more things you missed out on in life, whether it's work, events, childhood memories, birthdays. All of that drives the value of your case. And so we don't want to try to settle a case until we know where you stand, what you had to go through, how long you had to go through it, and what it costs to get you back to 100%. So from the time you are what we call MMI, maximum medical improvement, and that's the medical term for when you are completely healed or the doctors have done everything possible and you're at a certain point where you're not going to get any better, but you're not fully healed. At either one of those 2 points, fully healed or stabilized, the best you're going to be, that's when we take the next step. And so that's what's going to drive the true length of time in the case. Because if you're only treating for 2 months, that case is going to move a lot faster than if you're treating for 6 months, 8 months, a year. Now also think about it, the nature of personal injury is the longer you're hurt, the more you had to go through, the more your case is worth. And so the quicker cases are usually the smaller cases. Not always, but just on injuries alone, a lot of times they are. So in my office, once you're done with medical care, you're released from care, the next step is to gather all your remaining records and bills from the providers you're currently seeing. Depending on that provider's office, we could be looking at anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to 4 to 6 weeks. We put the requests out immediately after you tell us you're done treating, but then we're relying on a doctor's office to follow up and to get the records. And it could be a big source of frustration for us in that we get these requests out and a doctor's office takes 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. They're mismanaged. They don't have the staff. They just aren't doing it full time. And so we have a full-time records person that will follow up diligently because we know you're ready to take the next step, and this is the single biggest source of delay. Now, something else my firm does, and your firm should be doing it too if you have somebody else, is any provider that you saw, any medical doctor, hospital, urgent care that you saw early on in the case that you know you're never going to see again, urgent care, emergency room, ambulance, those are all perfect examples. Well, we request those in the first 2 to 3 days of you retaining us. And the reason is, going back to what I said earlier, waiting for records can be the biggest source of delay in your case. And so when you call us released, we want to have everything physically possible in your file that we can and just be waiting on your current providers. Because if we wait until you're done treating to call an ER and get your ER records, well, ER records are notoriously slow. They take 2 to 3 months. And so we're not going to have you sit around for 2 to 3 months when you're done treating, ready to take the next step, and we're saying, oh, we're waiting on records, waiting on records. No, that's not the way it should happen. We should request and have those records sitting in your file while you're still treating so that when the time comes, we're not suffering that delay. So we get the records in as fast as possible. Again, biggest source of delay in your case, post-treatment. Then when all the records come in, myself and your paralegal, we go through your entire file, go through all the records, we pore over them, we build out a medical chronology, we summarize your care, and we will put together what's called a demand letter, demand package. In my office, we will have demand letters out within 5 business days of receiving the last medical record, or 1 week. Then when that demand package goes out to the at-fault driver, they have a different deadline than if it's your insurance carrier. But with the at-fault driver, they have 30 days under the law to respond and make you an offer. So going back to why you're here, how long does this take? The answer, it depends, starts with when you're done care. Then we get the medical records. Let's just say waiting on those records on average 2 to 3 weeks. 1 week to write a demand, that's 1 month. 30 days for the insurance companies to make you the first offer. At most, that's 2 months. And then we go into negotiations. And depending on how fast the adjuster is moving and talking to us, negotiations can normally take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. We will typically get 3 to 5 offers out of them. And so now we're 1 month records, worst case scenario, 1 week for a demand, 30 days to respond with a first offer, 2 to 3 weeks negotiations. So if you count that up, we're looking at about 2.5 months. I can move faster, it can move slower, but on average, that's the way the timeline goes from when you're released until you and I are talking about what are they offering, do we want to accept it, is it reasonable? And then from there, should you accept the offer, normally checks arrive in 5 to 7 business days. Believe it or not, most insurance companies will mail out checks via regular mail, even large checks. And depending on where that check is issued, either in the state of Georgia or somewhere else in the country for the larger insurance companies, we're just waiting on the Postal Service to get us the check. So I hope this gives you a better idea on what you can expect and how long it takes. Again, not to sound like a typical lawyer, it depends, but know that we've got the process and procedures, the measuring and the reporting, that we're moving as quickly as possible. Anything that we can control on your case, getting records from providers you're never going to see again, to the follow-up, to how long your file's sitting in my office before we write that demand letter, we control that. And we're going to move fast with everything we can control. And if we can't control it, we're going to monitor it and make sure they know that we're pushing for you to get this done as quickly and as fairly as possible. As always, if you have any questions, want to talk about this further, just give us a call. We're 1 phone call away. You can call us at 404-418-8244. You can also email us at wehelpyou@BraunsLaw.com. That's we, WEHELPYOU, wehelpyou @BraunsLaw.com. Or you can visit us on the website at BraunsLaw.com. If you're interested in more information about your case or how we handle a case or case works in general, check out the Claim Clinic section. It's a whole section I built out that walks you through how we handle a case. You can even handle your own case if you wanted to go there.